Just first and foremost, just what are you most excited about entering spring camp?
Well, I'm excited about being on the front end of Coach Traylor's regime, and just really exciting time for, I think, obviously our players, our staff. I think the Roadrunner Nation. There's nothing like being on the front end of the optimism of a new era. I've had the opportunity to be on that a few times in my coaching career, and to be able to be the coordinator, working for somebody that I've gotten a chance to know the last couple of years on a peer basis, and then get a chance to come be in charge of the offense underneath his leadership is really exciting for me and my family.
What kind of things did you take away from the experience of getting to be the head coach in the interim at Arkansas at the end of the season last year?
Even though it was a brief period, it was a 3.5 or 4 week period. You hear this all the time. I grew up in a head coach's house. My dad was my high school football coach and was a head coach for 28 years. And so, I saw that world a little bit, and obviously worked for a bunch of different head coaches in my college coaching career. And, people say you don't really get it until, you sit in those shoes. It's like being a parent. You hear people say, man, you just don't understand being a parent until you have children yourself. And I found out that that's true about not only being a parent, but also being a head coach. You just don't understand. And even though it was a limited scale, it was just a brief period, I didn't deal with the same things that, a sitting head coach deals with. It really opened up my eyes to what that chair deals with and the things that come across that head coach's desk on a constant basis. It was just, you could never get on top of it. There was always something. And so I certainly have a new appreciation for what Jeff goes through, and which I think is only going to enhance my job as the coordinator here to help keep some things off his plate, to have some proactive forward thinking about what maybe is going on in his world. It was a very valuable experience for me.
And for you being a former college quarterback, what are some things that you look for, traits in a starter?
You want a winner, a competitor. I think we could all probably name those variables, the intangibles. It's things that you can't put your finger on that usually set that guy apart. And so I'm anxious to get to know these guys. I'm getting to know them, but I'm really anxious to get to see their personalities come out on the field, because that's ultimately where you really learn who they are and what they're about when the pressure's on and the bullets are live, and there's just no escape or no substitute for seeing that in action.
Were you able to take a look at what the team was looking like last year, and how do you differentiate between what they were kind of doing to what you're going to install?
Yeah, sure. That was one of the first things we did as a staff, is we made a cut up of the guys that were returning and what their action looked like, from a playing perspective last year, just to get a feel of who they were, not to draw judgments. That's one of the things that's the beautiful about a new start for all these guys, that whether they were the starter, the backup, a scholarship, a non-scholarship, injured, not injured, no matter who they are, for us offensively, and I know Ty would say the same thing about them special teams, or from a defensive perspective, is everybody starts with a clean slate. Now, we would be remiss as coaches to not, dig a little bit and to get an idea of who we have coming back, mostly so we could address any immediate needs from a recruiting perspective. But we were able to draw some loose conclusions on, who we have coming back, what those positions were that have experience, and then, but at the end of the day, they're all getting to start with the same threshold, the same bottom floor, and they're going to have to earn their stripes, and there's a lot of good about that.
You inherit Sincere McCormick, freshman All-American. What are the things you've noticed on film from him that make him special, and in your brief meetings with him so far?
Well, it's been fun to see the film come to life and connect with the person. And even though, like I said about the quarterbacks, the other players returning, to be able to see what he did on film, you can see his ability. Obviously, the accolades followed that from last year, and those were much deserved. You see the ability, but then you get to connect that with the person, and then it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense why he was successful as a freshman. It makes a lot of sense why he's going to be such a valuable asset to our football team, is because it's not just about what he is. He's a gifted running back, but it's more about who he is, and we can't get enough guys like that.
And then just the identity of your offense. What do you want to put in place, and what do you like to do?
Sure. Yeah, we want to play fast. And listen, I'm an extension of Jeff, and we have a unique situation here offensively, in the fact that Coach, obviously at his time at Gilmer, was very, very well known for their explosive offenses, historically great offenses in the state of Texas. I have a background as a coordinator and have had different levels of success at both the high school and the college level. Matt Maddox and his background, and Will Stein and the other. I don't want to leave out Kurt and Julian because they've all been around successful offenses. What's been unique about this and fun is that we are blending together what is known as our offense. You know, it's not one person's offense; it's our offense, but we are going to be reflective of what Coach Traylor believes in. We are going to take on his personality of toughness and energy. We're going to play fast. That's one of the very first things that we want to be known for, is we want to play fast. We don't want to talk about playing fast, you know. We want to play fast. And we're putting the pieces together right now to enable us to be able to do that, to be able to play as quickly as we can. But we're also going to inject some pro-style background into that, and to create what we feel like is maybe a unique blend of offense. At the end of the day, nobody's going to care what it's named or what it is or what we're trying to do. It's going to be really what we do is what's going to matter. And so we want to move the ball and score points. And we want to do that by playing fast. But it's going to be our job as coaches to play to the strengths of our players. And we're going to have a lot better feel of what that's going to be like after 15 days of spring.
Awesome.
All right, guys.